Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 132 of Crunch Time with the N326 duo. I am your host today, Sam Godsey, and with me today, as always, is Tanner Dislin. Tanner, how are you doing tonight?
Sam, I am doing well. First off, I am just happy I got here because it is absolutely pouring outside. Huge storm just rolled in, of course, right when I was about to leave to come record. So that's lovely. But we made it. We're ready to go. And we are in this weird period that we talked about when we made the NBA a loser for its scheduling, because we are not to the finals yet, and we're still a couple days away, which is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. We're recording on a Tuesday. Um, Not a whole lot going on. We got MLB, of course, some international club soccer. Is that for the Olympics? Like,
I have no idea.
either way, doesn't matter. Of course, WNBA and
You could see our soccer knowledge.
of course we're watching the Chicago Sky because of Angel Reese, not because it's like the only thing on. Oh, Chenny Carter is down. Uh, but not a whole lot going on in the sports world. Stanley Cup was finalized. Um, NBA finals coming up. So we are in that dead period, but we got a lot to talk about, believe it or not, in this dead period. So let's hop right into it. We're going to kick off with some weekly headlines. And of course, the first one we got to talk about, probably the biggest sports story over the past week and a half, ever since that last episode dropped. And that's the Caitlin Clark-Cheenedy Carter incident. For those of you who haven't seen it, what are you doing? It's been everywhere. Um, uh, and let's put it how it is. Cheenedy Carter got cheap shot on Caitlin Clark, and the whole world has erupted about. We got Stephen A. Smith blowing up about. We got pardon the interruption, guys, talking about. We got CNN, we got Fox News, all talking about it. So Tanner, kind of give me your just first thoughts on this incident. Is it being blown out proportion? Is it a bigger problem than what is the usual smack talk?
I'll start with the first question. Is it being blown out of proportion? Yes, I think it's definitely being blown out of proportion. Look, we talked about it last episode, how everything has to end up in this big old think piece of how we treat women, how we treat black women, how we treat this, that, and the other. When it comes down to it, we're watching basketball. And what Kennedy Carter,
Yeah,
was that a cheap shot? Yeah, it was a cheap shot. Did she get called for it? She did. I'm sure she got upgraded to some sort of flagrant for it, but
yeah, she did.
let's be real. Caitlin Clark's health was not at, it wasn't
No,
in
it
jeopardy.
was like her.
Like
Yeah,
so many things can be true at once, and that's where what gets so frustrating is that people fail to see it. That because you have half of them, half the size, like, this is a cheap shot, this is ridiculous, this is outrageous, you're only doing this because she's white, because she's straight, whatever. Is Caitlin Clark being treated unfairly? Probably. Has every rookie in the history of sports been treated unfairly? Yeah, yeah.
mm-hmm.
Like that stuff like the shoulder, the cheap shots on rookies, or someone who's coming in making noise, and you set the tone. I mean, they literally had a documentary where Kobe said, we need to set the tone in this game. Pau Gasol, I'm going to run right through his chest.
Yeah,
Is that a cheap shot? Probably. I mean, it's a screen, right? He can't.
100%.
Yeah, and he ran right through him because he wanted to send a message. Obviously, she wanted to send a message. Is it allowed in basketball? No. That's why she was called for a foul. That's why she was upgraded to a flagrant foul. It wasn't like she threw Kate, grabbed her and threw her to the ground. She hip checked her. It wasn't like she took out her legs and tried to flip. It was a play to send a message. Now, is there any room for that in basketball? You can probably not, but again, that's why she got called for it. Now, is Caitlin getting more unfair treatment than her average rookie. Yeah, because of her status. But it's just so frustrating when it's half the world is like, I don't know if you saw, it was like the Chicago Tribune said that that play on Caitlin Clark, if it hadn't happened on a basketball court, it would be considered assault.
Okay.
Like, come on now. Like,
Come
come
on.
on now. And then in the history of sports, what's the best way to overcome any sort of trash talk, any sort of cheap shot thrown your way? The best way, play damn basketball,
Yeah.
and that's what Caitlin's going to do. I mean, Caitlin obviously is better than her at basketball. There's a good chance that Caitlin Clark goes on to be a fantastic WNBA player, maybe even a Hall of Famer. And it all started like it's just how athletes are wired. And just I personally, like, I don't want to say I love it because I don't like to see cheap shots, but like the bad blood is so nice to see. Because for me personally, I think one of the biggest criticisms I've had with women's basketball in particular, that it was always so positive, and when everyone was just like, "Oh, we can't do this because we got to grow. It's for the good of the game. It's for the good." Screw that. It's for the good of me and my team because I want to win this basketball game. And I think the bad blood is definitely an overall good thing. So all of that is to say, was it a cheap shot? Yes. I'm not that mad about it because as far as cheap shots go, it wasn't all that
Yeah.
dangerous. But she got called for a foul. That's what's supposed to happen. There's some smack talk back and forth. That's what's good. Hatred is good. Seeing not all this positive energy of like, let's grow the game. This is good for the game. She bought us flights. Like, she got us flights. So let's all celebrate. Like, no, that's not what I want to see. So it's just being blown way out of proportion, and it seems like no one can have a level head about this.
Yeah, absolutely. We've we've obviously seen all the media coverage about it. Pardon, not pardon my take. First take
There you go.
is probably the worst. Stephen A got called out by Monica McNutt. Stephen A was basically saying who talks more about the WNBA than First Take. And Monica McNutt said, Stephen A, with your platform, you could have been doing it 3 years ago. Basically, a big old FU, Stephen A, which I am always down for.
And the best part is, spot the lie.
Yeah, spot the lie. But I think in regards to it being blown out proportion is the Angel Reese comment. I think that is definitely a big reason why. Let's just put it how it is. Angel Reese does not like Caitlin Clark. It's a heated rivalry. That's why this game is growing. But the quote of I'll look back in 20 years and be like, the reason why we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too. I want y'all to realize that. Now, to a point, I kind of get, but where I go disagree is where it's just her. It's all about her. You got some this. I'll be the first one to admit. I would say I'm a bigger basketball fan than most. Before this season, I've not watched a single women's. I mean, like, I gotta watch these games. It wasn't like first and foremost. And
it wasn't appointment television.
And I think you have to give credits to Caitlin Clark, and I'm fine with Angel Reese hating her. I think that's what. Now, this might be blown way out of proportion because neither are having the instant impact but it reminds me a lot of Magic and Larry, that they kind of started that upward trend for the NBA, and people are just blowing it out of proportion. I do think she didn't speak correctly when she just said me, because let's be honest here, Tanner, it is the popularity of the WNBA is in fact growing because of Caitlin Clark. I mean, if you just look at the attendance averages this past weekend, non-Clark played games had a 7,000 average attendance. the games Caitlin Clark played, 17,000.
Right.
But it's not because of her, and her skill set is it's just because she shoots threes. What else does she do? Maybe be a top 5 assist leader in the WNBA as a rookie. She won Rookie of the Month. It's just crazy what this. I mean, this happened last week? It's late last week, and we're still talking about it. I think Dan Patrick kind of put it perfectly. He said, people are noticing the game now because of Caitlin Clark, not Angel Reese. Angel Reese has played a part in it, played a role in this, and she's a very good player. But make no mistake about it, Caitlin Clark is the reason everyone has an opinion. I think he nailed that.
Right.
Personally.
No, that's right. And yeah, she's the main reason, but like obviously it sounds a little rough coming from her being like, no, it's me too. Like it just sounds very, you know what I mean? Like very like a little kid, like, oh no, I'm doing it too. It's me.
Yeah.
But you're telling me that like that Iowa LSU game in the Sweet 16, that was like the most watched game.
Yeah.
Of course, until a couple rounds later. But you're telling me that if Angel Reese didn't have the game she had in the finals year before, and her and Clark didn't have the, this, that game gets as much viewership as it, of course not. Like she of course has a role to play in this. As you said, like the magic bird, there's always two. And when these two face off, it is going to be very fun. And yes, what she is saying is not wrong. Of course, she is not as big a draw as Caitlin, but yes, it sounds very tough coming off of there being like me. And in some of the talk, I think it was Carter who said it about like, besides shooting, what does she bring? Like, I mean, obviously we all know what she brings. I mean, but again, this is smack talk. This is sports. I have no problem with her saying that. Caitlin, show her what you bring. Go out there and play basketball and show her, what do I bring? I bring facilitation. I bring assist, all of this stuff. And obviously top 5 in assists, as you said, she is doing that. But again, it's just, it's fun to watch the smack talk. I could do without the cheap shot, obviously, as we've said. But it's fun to watch the smack talk. And before we move on, I gotta say, what really kind of, what angered me the most out of this entire clip, this entire saga?
What was that?
That not a single person on the Fever bench
Nobody
did anything. No one got up.
Nobody.
No one got in the face. No one gave a shove back. That I think is the main thing I'm looking at. Like everything I've seen, it looks like Caitlin and her Fever teammates seem to get along, and that they like playing with her because obviously the coverage can get annoying when it's not someone else and not you, but when you play together, it seemed like everything was going okay. But maybe they don't like her. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Not a soul gave any sort of effort to back her up.
Not even the coach.
And I mean, Aaliyah Boston was inbounding the ball. She was 4 steps away, and of course, lazily walked over, like went and helped her up. Didn't get anyone's face. It was crazy.
Yeah. And obviously, if Angel Reese doesn't celebrate the cheap shot, I don't think we're even talking about this.
Of course.
Angel Reese does not like Caitlin Clark, regardless of what she said in the past. And I think that is fantastic for WNBA.
That is A-okay.
I mean, look at the NBA in the past. We've had guys, some of the greatest basketball was the Warriors dynasty. Everyone hated him.
Heat
dynasty,
I guess.
LeBron, just LeBron's career.
It's LeBron,
Kobe,
hating the Warriors, hating Kevin Durant, hating James Harden, hating Brooklyn, hating now the Suns, I guess, is the next one that people really don't like. But yeah, hate is good in terms
hate is
of
good
sports.
For sport.
Hate is good, and so again, I wish it didn't manifest itself in some cheap shots, but people saying all this stuff like it should be all one big kumbaya of like, let's all have fun today.
Yeah.
Let's do stuff that's good for the game. No, this hate, this smack talk, this is the stuff that's
Yeah.
good for the game, not the let's everybody get along and have a fun time. Like, no.
Yeah. And obviously, I think on the Caitlin Clark side of things, in regards to people being disappointed with how her career has started, she's gonna have bad games.
Yeah.
They've also played like 8 games in 13 days, which is absurd. But I think if you want to go back and look at all the greats, whether it be NBA or WNBA, I think a common trend would be slow starts.
Right. I mean, it's if you take away the name, it's an objectively great start to a rookie season.
Exactly.
It's just that she came off a 40-point year and 20, obviously those very big exaggerations, but basketball was in college was on easy mode for her. So it's now not. She has to work for it. And obviously she will get better. But and that's what angered me the most about when she was coming up and everyone's like, well, she has a rude awakening coming for her in the NBA. And it's like, oh, well, you're hating on her. She's going to score 40. It's like, you guys realize that neither of those are true, right?
Yeah.
She's going to be a good player. She's going to have a good year. She's not going to score 36 and have 18 assists. Like, we all know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And both sides is one, like literally one side, she's gonna have a rude, like she's not gonna make anything, and the other side, she's gonna drop 40 a game. No, obviously not. So
I mean, she's
believe it or not, the people who thought about it and actually had a rational take were correct.
Yeah, I mean, take away the name. Caitlin, you can say Caitlin Clark is off to a rough start. She still won Rookie of the Month for May, averaging 17.6 points, 6.6 assists, and 5-point rebounds. So
for a rookie, that's
if you take away the name, everyone's loving that. But that is by far the biggest headline of this week. But any last thoughts on that?
Not really, man. I'm hoping that maybe we can take a week, maybe even 2 weeks, and just be able to talk about basketball instead of cheap shots, instead of hating, instead of all of the good for the. I'm so sick of I know we used it a lot, but the good for the game. Who the hell cares? What's good for the game is if they just play damn basketball and people and the fans and the media treat it as if they're playing basketball.
Yeah, exactly. But we're going to move on to some NFL paydays. Tanner, Jay Jettas is officially back. He signed a contract 4-year, $140 million with 110 guaranteed, making him the highest non-quarterback player to ever play in the NFL. Kind of give me your first thoughts on this. I know that was a huge emphasis for the Vikings coming into this offseason, so it's got to be nice having that deal done.
Oh, I mean, it's right now for the way this team is situated, it's quite literally everything. Like this puts the bow on the offseason. What I thought was a fantastic offseason. Obviously, fans love to inhale that copium, but I truly believe this was a fantastic offseason. Getting Kirk Cousins off the books, getting a replacement in the door, and bolstering that defense a little bit. Taking the money that was originally for Danielle Hunter and shedding that out on a few players, and of course, extending Justin Jefferson. Now, this 4-year deal basically puts him through the end of the JJ McCarthy rookie deal. It gets him at mandatory OTAs. It gets him in the building in key critical times for JJ McCarthy in the offseason. And that was, I think, the unsung, what could have been a big issue here. Not only, if he hadn't signed this deal, he might not have shown up for this stuff. And that crucial work between him and JJ McCarthy would not have happened when it's obviously, I've used the word crucial 8 times here, but it's really important that them two in the offseason, as he's learning learning the offense and running through things during the spring, during the summer, that Justin Jefferson is there and they're running it through together. And so it's incredible. And that pretty much sums up JJ McCarthy's situation now. I mean, none of this matters if JJ McCarthy sucks, obviously. So, but you can't deny, a Justin Jefferson locked in for pretty much your entire rookie contract. That's huge for a rookie quarterback. And I keep going, and a name that keeps coming back to me, because all of this, the end goal here, obviously, is JJ McCarthy's development. Someone I've been thinking about a lot in regards specifically with this Vikings team is Mark Sanchez, because we can all agree Mark Sanchez is not a good quarterback.
Yeah.
For his rookie and his sophomore year, when he had LaDainian Tomlinson, Sean Green, Plaxico Burress, Santonio Holmes, they went to back-to-back AFC championship games because offense was easy when you were throwing to very good wide receivers. You had a good running game, and that defense was pretty good too. So again, if JJ McCarthy is Mark Sanchez level good, which obviously, if he's not Mark Sanchez level good, we're in trouble here. We are in big, big trouble. But if he's Mark Sanchez level good, the team should be able to do some damage in the postseason with the amount of talent. So it's everything. It's huge. I am so excited that Justin Jefferson is staying a Viking.
Yeah, that is huge for sure. It's going to be interesting how I think you said best, the development of JJ McCarthy will be in regards to how this works with Justin Jefferson, or do y'all roll with Sam Darnold? But obviously, we've seen some NFL wide receivers get paid this offseason. AJ Brown with the Eagles, $32 million annually. Amon-Ra St. Brown, $30 million. There is one that is currently holding out for his mandatory mini camp, and that is Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. He is not expected to attend the 3-day mandatory camp. Yeah, as a Cowboys fan, this is very concerning because if you look at the numbers, Jefferson and Lamb have very similar statistics. Jefferson in 60 games, 392 receptions, 5,900 yards, 30 touchdowns. In 66 games, Lamb has 395 catches for 5,145 yards and 32 touchdowns, both Pro Bowl 3-time and one first team All Pro. So very, very similar. And CeeDee Lamb is wanting that historic contract in the Cowboys' deep history of having wide receivers. So I think we screwed up here because we also have another guy holding out for a contract, Micah Parsons, and we still have Dak to pay. So a lot of things are up in the air with the Cowboys, and I think this Justin Jefferson historic contract is going to play a huge, huge, huge part, because I think CeeDee Lamb is looking for even more money than Justin Jefferson.
Oh yeah, he's definitely him and his agent have noted this for sure. And you know how these things go. Whenever someone has the highest ever for a non-quarterback, highest ever for a wide receiver, highest ever for whatever position, it lasts for a year until the next just the next star hits free agency and people just shell out more money. Because GMs have figured out, as I'm sure all of you have as well, Amazon Prime, Netflix, And then obviously Fox, CB, they're not going to stop shelling out money to broadcast the games on their platform. NFL's not going to stop making money. Salary cap's not going to stop going up.
Yeah.
So obviously, I right now, if you made me predict, I think CeeDee Lamb will get more than that, just because it's going to be probably next year. And I do think eventually rubber will meet the road, and they'll shell out the money, and it'll be more than Jefferson gets. But yeah, CeeDee Lamb has definitely noted that. His agent has definitely noted that, and probably has already communicated it to Jerry Jones.
Oh, I'm sure.
The Cowboys.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting couple months for the Cowboys, with their three biggest pieces all up in the air right now. And I'm not too confident.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna vastly overpay Dak, and
the other position will suffer.
I think we're gonna keep CD. I think Micah's gonna one out, which is devastating, because I think he's one of the best players on defense, period, in the league. And yeah, that one will hurt when that day eventually rides. But we're talking about all these massive contracts in the NFL. Talking about JJ's historic contract. It's nothing if you really look at it. I mean, Jordan Poole has the same contract as Justin Jefferson.
NBA absolutely crazy. Is truly different, and where it gets absolutely crazy. And I know positional value plays a huge role in all of this, but surely you've seen Christian McCaffrey's extension.
Yeah,
he got Justin Jefferson 4 years, $140 million. Obviously, age and again positional value play huge roles here. What was it? 2 years,
19 million per year. He will receive an additional $8 million over what he was scheduled to make in the first 2 years, while adding $24 million in guarantees.
So that 2 years, 19 mil. Obviously, I'm sure there's a million players in the NBA who make that now, and probably there are a million players in the NBA who are out of the rotation that make that now. But if there are any baseball fans out there, that contract is basically the same one Taijuan Walker signed. You surely know Taijuan Walker. He is
huge fan.
Fourth starter for the Philadelphia Phillies in their rotation. The fourth starter, 2 years, $19 million. Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
The best running back in the league.
And most dynamic.
Crazy.
Like, obviously, the running back is not what it has been in the past, but he can also catch ball. He's
the best receiving back in the NFL.
He can also throw the ball
in the NFL. He's thrown for a couple.
He can also kick return. It's just crazy how devalued the running back is. In other NFL news, Hardknocks was announced off season.
The G-Man, right?
The Bears.
Oh, it's the Bears. That's right.
The Bears with Caleb Williams. To be honest with you, Tanner, I've maybe watched 2 episodes of Hardknocks.
Yeah, I'm not a Hardknocks guy either.
What's weird, though,
I can't explain it,
is I love sports Like, I've watched QB1. I've watched the BSI we talked about. I've watched all the Last Chance U's. I just can't get into Hardknocks, but I don't know if I'll watch this one because I really don't like Caleb Williams, but is it just going to fuel the fire of my hatred? Possibly. So I might check it out this year, but
yeah, I mean, it's funny. You said you have watched 3 episodes.
Yeah, if that. 0.
I've never watched a Hardknocks episode. I agree. I can't get into it. I mean, it's, obviously, I guess being a baseball fan and someone who watches pretty much all the Mets games he can.
I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you. We'll get into more of that later. I got a whole thing prepared here. But because of that, like obviously I love football season. I do want football season to come back, but I feel like a lot of people watch Hard Knocks that are just starving for sports. Obviously, I get my sports fix through baseball, a sport I enjoy watching. But yeah, I've just never been a hard. And then when this during the season episodes, I'm just watching football,
Yeah.
not Hard Knocks. So yeah, I've never been a Hard Knocks guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Bears.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, I'm kind of the same way. I've never been love football, don't get me wrong. I've never like, oh my God, I need it, But yeah, crazy. Crazy news in the NFL, always staying relevant. But you mentioned your Mets.
Yeah.
There's there's a reason we haven't been on the diamond lately.
Yeah.
The Mets, yikes.
Yeah.
Talk to us about them.
It's been a rough baseball season. Three of the best teams in the MLB are the Phillies, Braves, and Yankees. And the Mets just capped off one of the worst months in history. In the month of May, they went 9-19, Sam. 9-19, which included 6 losses in which they were leading through 8 innings in 1 month. 1 month. No other team has more than 2 on the season. And the Mets had 6 in 1 month. Obviously, the closer position is an absolute crapshoot right now. Edwin Diaz is just not over that injury. He's had a really rough go of it. Velocity down, spin on that slider down, movement down. He's pretty much throwing batting practice right now. And one of the main reasons why all those saves were blown, but it didn't matter. Adam Ottavino was put in the game. He blew leads. In the final day of the month, Jake Diekman came in. He blew a lead. So yeah, it's really bad in New York right now. However, since the end of May, since the 29th of May, which is where it all boiled over, they are 4-2. So I guess it's getting a little better. I'm not, of course, giving up on the season yet. There's just so much left to play. But that May 29th, when it all boiled over, Jorge Lopez on the I think yes, Jorge Lopez. Sorry. Jorge Lopez, a reliever for the Mets who has had his struggles in this recent stretch of bullpen struggles for the team. After he did not have a good outing, he threw his glove into the stands, which of course is a very bad look. Then, of course, they went into the locker room and he was interviewed. And
I saw this clip.
This is where it gets a little dicey because for some reason, he didn't have a translator. He does not speak great English. And in broken English, he said something that sounded like, I play for the worst team in the MLB. Now, I think you can reasonably ascertain that he was saying, I'm the worst teammate in the MLB. There was a huge, did he say this? Did he say that? And he said he was the worst teammate in the MLB. But shortly thereafter, the guy interviewing him said, wait, let me get this straight. Did you just say that you're on the worst team in the MLB? And he said, yes.
No.
So again, maybe there's a chance he just didn't understand what the question was. He didn't understand what he was saying. But when asked multiple times, he reiterated the fact that he's on the worst team in the MLB and fresh off an outing in which he threw his glove into the stands.
Nice.
So yeah, he was released shortly after that game, believe it or not. And that's when it boiled over. That's one of the more embarrassing things. A franchise that has a whole bracket full of misery. That's got to be a 2 or 3 seed right there. Like that's not very common when that happens. So
yeah, not great.
Yes. So it's really not good in Mets land at all. They have so many decisions, big time contract decision with Pete Alonso, who is having a miserable year so far. Francisco Lindor started off the season one of the worst years he's ever seen. However, since I think it was like halfway through May, he's actually been the hottest hitter in the MLB, and he's turned things around. And I think he's had like 3 or 4 straight games with multiple hits. So he's turning things around. The vibes seem to be a little better. I mentioned the little 4-2 run there, so they're winning a few more ball games. But yeah, it's really not good. And then you look up north to the Bronx, and they're the best record in the MLB. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto are having a year that is not never seen in baseball before. They're 1-2 in WRC plus, which stands for weighted runs created plus. I think they're 1-2 in maybe OPS plus or regular OPS. They're mashing the hell out of the ball. The Yankees simply do not lose. Oh, and they're getting Garrett Cole back soon. So it's miserable. I'm in hell right now with baseball. Eventually we'll talk about some baseball and we'll go on the diamond, but it's just not happening anytime soon because I'm miserable. And this month of May is one of the main reasons why. So yeah, a lot to talk about in Mets land, none of it good.
Yeah, sounds like it. Speaking of nothing going well, let's talk about San Diego Padres infielder Tucupita Marcano.
Generational
numbers.
Obviously banned lifetime. First one since
Pete
Rose.
Pete
Rose.
Justice for Pete. So yeah, he gambled. Had a little bit of gambling
and lost.
Lost a lot.
Big time.
So someone took the time to break it down for us. So this is Front Office Sports. Shout out to them. So the total amount he bet on baseball was $150K. $87K of that was on the MLB. Average amount per bet was 378. Respect. Number of MLB bets was 231. He bet on 25 Pirates games. And he only won 4.3% of his bet.
That's devastating to hear. I mean, if any of this we're talking about, if this was winners and losers, I mean, by far the biggest loser of this would not be the fact that he has a lifetime ban, would not be the fact that he caught gambling. It's the fact that he won 4.3% of his bets
in a program he was a part of at the time.
Literally, he was on the team, and he couldn't win a damn bet. Oh man, that is. It always amazes me that when people like this, when these stories break, someone so connected to sports and seemingly would have such a great knowledge, such an intense knowledge of the game that none of us could understand because he's lived it, he's breathed it, his work, his whole life to play it at the highest level, and he's winning 4.3%.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's crazy to me.
It's funny though. He's one of us, right?
Yeah, he is one of us. He is one of us for sure.
Yeah, I think everyone that gets caught gambling should have to expose their winnings and losings.
We got to see the stats. We got to see the I like the average bet. You see, obviously, when your mind goes right to Ippei and the whole Shohei thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when they were talking about, he's Ohtani's interpreter just on like a $700 bajillion contract, and he had a bet for like $10 or something.
Dude, respect.
It's like, what on earth is happening here? But yeah, the average bet size, the wins, the losses, we got to see it all. It's again, I still cannot believe that someone who's been around the game for so long can be so bad.
Yeah,
something that has such low ball knowledge.
Zero ball knowledge. I want to know what bets he won. Like, was it for him to get hit, or was it like what was it?
Yeah, right. Is it? Did he throw games? Is it his team to lose? Is it him to get a hit, or is it like KBO, or like it's you know what I mean? Like, is this guy
or did he not win a single one he was involved in?
There we go. That very possible.
That's probably the most likely. But yeah,
Unreal stuff.
Another lifetime ban. More speaking of lifetime bans, Jonte Porter allegedly threw games, so because he was in gambling debt. So there's a little update for him.
There you go. And real quick, another kind of side story with we mentioned the Ipe stuff. There's a teammate, a former teammate of Otani's that was under investigation as well for being involved with Ipe. Him and Shohei were very close when they were teammates with the Angels. His name is David Fletcher. He was a second baseman, shortstop, middle infielder for the Angels. He's currently in the Braves organization, and he was in AAA. He kind of fell off a little bit and can no longer handle himself at the major league level. So while in AAA with the Braves organization, he went up to his coach and said, "Hey, coach, I got a pretty good knuckleball." And the coach was like, "Let's see it." Put him in, clean inning. Put him in again, struck out the side. Nice. So David Fletcher, and any MLB fan will remember that name when Trout and Ohtani. I mean, he was like their leadoff hitter. He was a key piece to the Angels. He's currently in AAA pitching for the Braves and hitting too. I mean, he's still hitting because So, yeah, it's an interesting story. And while all this is happening, he's being investigated in connection to Ipe. So,
yeah, that's tough.
David Fletcher, the pitcher.
I don't know if you
and the game
knew this, but Ipe pleaded guilty today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you saw any of the stuff, like the recordings, but as soon as it came out, he was just like, "Take me away." Like, there's a clip of them. He's talking to his bookie or something, and he was like, "Yeah, they got me. I'm toast." I'm done for.
Yeah. And then the MLB closed the investigation on Ohtani.
Absolved him of any.
But yeah, that's freaking crazy. But I've kind of always thought this in regards to game. It's thrown in your face damn near every other commercial. And how many we're seeing arenas get DraftKings Lounge, FanDuel Lounge,
broadcasts, promote live odds, and
it was bound to happen, and it's just gonna keep happening. Honestly, like, it's not gonna change. But those are kind of the big weekly headlines. Obviously, talk Caitlin Clark, the big paydays for Justin Jefferson, and the smaller payday for Christian McCaffrey. And then the lifetime ban in the MLB. But the big kind of bow on the NBA season is finally here, coming up on what I don't even know what day it starts.
I think
June 7th?
6th, which is Thursday, which would be the day this releases, I think. Yeah.
Let's fact check ourselves. Yep. Thursday, June 6th, 7:30. Mavs, Celtics. Last episode, the Mavs were up 3-0, playing.
T-Wolves, they get one.
T-Wolves got one, and then the Mavs beat the shit out.
Beat the crap out of game 5.
So we've had this really long break. Not a lot of ball, not any ball, actually. Mavs versus Celtics. Tanner, give me your thoughts on this one. What are some headlines people need to be paying attention to going into this one?
I mean, I'm really excited for this series. I think it's going to be fun seeing Boston tested, which should be them. Watch them be tested. But obviously, when coming into this series, the storyline is going to be Boston, who I think everyone can agree is the all-around better team, the deeper team, versus obviously Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are very good at basketball, but the best duo in the series will be Luka and Kyrie. So defending them two is going to be the big key. Obviously, they do have Drew Holiday, which is a big help, a great defensive guard. Probably will. Actually, don't know. I assume will be on Luka, but I truly don't know.
My thing is, so if you put him on Luca, who's guarding Kyrie?
Right, exactly.
So that what makes me
you put
think
Brown
Drew
on
Holiday will be on
Kyrie
and then
Brown on
Brown
Luka.
and Tatum on like rotation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
gonna be interesting.
that's obviously going to be the big story, and I'm not breaking any news here, but one thing's for certain: the only way Dallas wins this series is if Luka and Kyrie are Luka and Kyrie. If they are not Luka and Kyrie at all, Boston's just too deep, too many players. They will win.
Yeah.
So who's going to be able to stop? Obviously, Drew. We just spent a ton of time talking about Drew Holiday. I'm not. One of them should be at least not stopped, but maybe held in check with Holiday and some help. But the other one, who is going to guard the other one?
Yeah,
and that's going to be the big one. And also close games, because I think Dallas has a massive advantage in close games, right?
Yeah.
Kyrie talked about as one of the best finishers in the NBA. Luka, I mean, in that one game they lost to Minnesota, Luka scored a 4-point play down like 6 and made the game somewhat within reach. Obviously, it didn't end up happening, but these guys are obviously very clutch, very good one-on-one in late game situations. Boston, on the other hand, they've had trouble closing out games. So
yeah,
close games, advantage Mavs.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. I mean, obviously you've heard the stories. Kyrie versus Celtics
Right.
is gonna
obviously Kyrie. Yes,
that's gonna be a huge headline going into this one. Yeah, I mean the hatred is obviously there between Kyrie and the Celtics. Things didn't end well when he left on bad terms.
After telling everyone he was going to come back.
Yeah, that was kind of screwed up.
Stomping
unlucky. There's a true hatred for these two sides, and it seems Kyrie is back to his hooping self, just getting buckets, not making noise off the court, as we've seen the past couple of years. And I still can't believe that Luka and Kyrie work.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like I remember when they signed Kyrie, I was like, damn. They
even going back to when they traded for Kyrie, it's like, okay, you upgraded at a position,
yeah,
but weird fit, and then as you said, double down and re-sign him.
Yeah, and I'm like, damn it, it'd be nice if they play with two balls, but nope, they're just like, all right, Luka, you'll go crazy first quarter. Kyrie, you'll do second, split three, and then fourth, whoever's hot. That's literally what it seems like. You mentioned how deep the Celtics are this year. I mean, Derek White's one of the best bench players in the league. They have Kristaps coming back. He is confirmed to be playing. Seeing how he plays is going to be super interesting because coming off an injury and going into a very high stake game, you can prep and feel as good, but you really don't know how good you are till tip off, and that's also another storyline I'm looking at. But
counterpoint, Porzingis revenge series.
It is
but obviously Kyrie revenge series.
Yeah. So which revenge wins out?
Oh, are there any others? Are there any others? Oh man, on the spot, I can't think of any.
Yeah, I don't think so.
1-1. That's interesting.
That's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you were saying, the Celtics are definitely the deeper team. But some those role players from the Mavs, we talked about them a
Stepped
lot.
up big.
Stepped up big against the T-Wolves. Can they do it again? Again, I mean, there's a chance maybe that Dallas might play like the deeper team with all those, like the way those guys played against Minnesota. But definitely another thing to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a fun series. I seriously don't know what to expect. This is I think in regards to Jason Tatum, I think this is a huge, huge opportunity for him to take that next step in his legacy. I mean, everyone knows he's a top 10 player in the league, but he's not top 5. He hovers around that 7, 8, 9. And this is, I mean, I think there's, as much as there's a legacy game for Tatum, I think you can apply to Doncic on the other side. So which legacy wins out in this one? It's going to be super fun. I think it's really going to come down to, can Jaylen Brown be the guy we've kind of seen? Can he keep it up when there's actually good competition across the court?
No doubt about it. I mean, it's a great matchup. That's all I could ask for. Like we said, the better team, the better duo. I think right now Dallas is playing better basketball. So the hotter team, the better duo versus the overall best team pretty much all year, getting healthier at the right time. We mentioned the revenge games, the matchups, the bad blood. Not much more you can ask for. Should be pretty fun.
A game not from a 7. Maybe make your conference finals go like 6.
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we would have liked some basketball between 2 months ago and now. It seems like, but I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who wins? How many games?
Mavs in 6
and MVP.
I think Kyrie. I think Kyrie goes freaking crazy this series, and he gets it done. I mean, we've seen him time and time when he's put in a game where the lights are brightest, he shines. I mean, we saw him do it with LeBron. So give me Kyrie, Finals MVP, Mavs in 6.
All right, I would definitely take that because that means Boston does not win.
I'm shocked,
but yeah, I'm gonna go Boston in 7.
Disgusted.
I know, disgusting. Dude. Finals MVP,
Derek White.
All right.
Serious?
I was gonna say Derek White. No doubt about it.
Yeah, he's gonna be huge. That's I think one of the most underrated aspects to the series. Because let's be honest here, Tanner, the Mavs don't have a great point guard coming off the bench. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. I hope it goes more than 4 games, which I think it will. I think this will be the best series of the entire playoffs. I know that sounds stupid, but
I hope so.
But I really do think it's gonna be awesome. But yeah, so I got the Mavs in 6, Kyrie. You got
season 7, Derek White.
That's crazy. But any other thoughts on this series, man?
I mean, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but go Mavericks. Go Luka. Yeah. Go Kyrie as I throw up in my mouth a little bit. But yeah, the Celtics winning would be a disaster.
Yeah.
It would really put a bow on this summer from the sports world thus far.
But that will wrap it up for episode 132. You can follow the podcast at crunchtime_pod on X, Instagram, and TikTok. We've been posting a lot more clips from the YouTube. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube as well. But the clock has run out on this one. We'll see you on the next one on Crunch Time.
A flip.